Hello and welcome to this new moon video for the new moon of the 18th of February 2015. Sometimes it can be that we get so caught up in really trying to do the right thing that we actually do everything but the right thing. We become lost in our passion, lost in our drive, and we lose sight of what might actually be the right thing to do. This new moon energy certainly carries a certain tone of that, and we're going to explore some of these energies that are associated with this new moon. I'm going to switch over to my astrology software here, and we'll take a little bit of a deeper exploration. So once again, this new moon is in Aquarius, but it's right at the very edge of Aquarius. It's really straddling the line between the signs of Aquarius and Pisces, within about a few seconds of the sign of Pisces. And when that happens, the new moon is going to carry a certain tonality of both of those signs. And there's definitely the potential for some of the more challenging aspects of Pisces to come out in terms of being somewhat under the influence of illusion or not seeing things clearly. There's also the desire or the passion to immerse oneself in a specific outcome or a specific pursuit, and that's a very Piscean trait. And along the Aquarian lines, a desire to really change things, overturn something, and the ability to see something from a clear insight, but that clear insight is getting clouded by that passion. And in order to understand that more deeply, let's take a look at the nakshatra of Shatabhisha and see if we can have a deeper understanding of what that is about. Now, Shatabhisha is governed over by the North Node. And in understanding the nodes, it's best to explain them in terms of the concept of one of their astrological names, which is the dragon's tail for the south node. And as we're talking about the north node, the dragon's head. Now, it's important to understand that what happens with Rahu, or the north node, is that there can be a very passionate drive or desire to achieve something. But since we're talking about the dragon's head and there's no digestive system, then things have a tendency to kind of fall apart or collapse or to fall through. So most of the nakshatras that are ruled by Rahu, they tend to have a nature of things not being clear, things being somewhat illusionary, or things potentially falling apart. Now that tendency of things falling apart ultimately actually serves the final purpose. And we're going to have a deeper understanding of that if we explain Shatabhisha on a more intimate level. And Shatabhisha is associated with the Vedic deity Varuna. Now, what's very interesting is Varuna is very similar in nature to Neptune, the Roman god Neptune, the Greek Roman god Neptune, I should say. Varuna is the old god of the oceans. But one of Varuna's functions is clouding things over and then later revealing them. So there's an energy with Shatabhisha of things seeming somewhat illusionary or things seeming one way, and that's to kind of drive the individual in a specific direction. And upon moving in that particular direction, they learn some lessons along the way, which ultimately guide them to a deeper sense or deeper recognition of the truth, which is many times, or I would say almost 99.9% of the times, far different from where they thought they were going in the first place or what they thought that they were seeking. And there certainly is an energy tone of that with this potential new moon. Now, I wanted to point out to you that the new moon, obviously a new moon is a sun-moon conjunction, and this forms a harmonious angle with Saturn in Anuradha. Now, Anuradha has a very passionate drive to it as well, or it can, and there's a lack of clear boundaries where Anuradha is concerned, and many times it can be necessary to balance things out so that there is a clear understanding. And that's certainly the case with this particular energy. Aquarius in the old system of astrology is ruled by Saturn. So if you understand that Shatabhisha is ruled by Rahu and Saturn rules Aquarius, then we have a Saturn-Rahu connection of energy, which ultimately will guide the individual on to further expansion. But what this may create is somewhat of a very deep, strong, profound drive to ultimately do something that is right, or something that is good, to do the right thing. The new moon is under the influence of a particular lunar yoga that is called Shiva. Aside from being associated with the Hindu god Shiva, Shiva also means benevolent. So with this, things can ultimately be accomplished through the desire to do what's right, but it's also through the understanding that it is enough to have that intent in this particular circumstance, at least, because hey, sometimes it's not right to just have the intent to do something that's right. But if you hold the intent of doing what's right inside of you and try to adhere inside of you rather than externally to doing what's right, then things will naturally just tend to unfold. If you have a willingness to be flexible and a willingness to see things in a new way, and in a way that may be contrary to the manner in which you thought things were, that will also serve you in this particular instance. Jupiter, a retrograde Jupiter, and whenever a planet is retrograde, it tends to be very strong and very bright. And Jupiter is forming an aspect to both the sun and the moon at this particular time, at the time of the new moon. Jupiter itself in Ashadha. Ashadha will bring a deeper seeking, a drive to find the potential within with which to achieve a particular set of circumstances. But again, that potential is much more easily discovered by just adhering to the desire to do what is good, rather than trying every single thing outside of yourself to do what is good. Let yourself be guided, is what I'm saying, rather than quite so much going, oh, well, I better do this because that's the good thing, or, oh, this seems like it would be the good thing. Instead, go, I just want to do what's good and right in this particular circumstance, and I desire to be shown what that is. Through doing so, the information will just naturally present itself. But you're going to need to maintain awareness. An important thing to understand about new moons is the moon is very reflective by nature. It reflects the light of the sun. So when the new moon is new, it's dark. It can't reflect. Things that are associated with new moons have a tendency to decay unless very strong attention or a very deep desire to maintain awareness is followed. Those things will just naturally have a tendency to also fall through. The moon is also about growing things. So if you want good growth with this particular new moon, it's important to maintain awareness. Be aware of your desires. Be aware of your passions. Be cautious of how they might be interfering in a process, rather than wishing to prove that you desire to do the right thing, or rather than wishing to show that you're a good person. Instead, just go, well, I know I'm good. I know I want to do what's right, and I will be guided through this particular set of circumstances towards what I naturally need to do in this very moment. If you'd like to know a little bit more about how the energy of the new moon will impact you personally, I do also have a vast range of astrological services that can be found if you look at the link above. Pointed to the wrong side at first. You can click on that link and it will take you to my astrological services page. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page as of yet, you might consider doing so in order to receive regular updates of whenever a new moon or full moon video and the occasional planetary aspect video, whenever those are released, you'll receive a regular update by subscribing to my YouTube page. That's going to do it for this new moon video. Until next time, please do take the utmost care of yourself.